think like with everything, you've got to look at each situation sort of individually. Target, I think, had a pretty good year considering it was cycling a very, very difficult comparable of almost 6% from the year before and cycling the first year that Toys R Us and Babies R Us were closed. So I think expecting them, I mean, I know you guys talked a lot yesterday about their performance in toy, and, you know, flat after that level of gain was pretty good. I think for a retailer like Signet, we looked at this year kind of as an Apple holiday, right? So with the iPhone 11 and, you know, the share that took of people's wallets, one of the things that the iPhone does do is it brings people to malls because that's where most of the Apple stores in America are. So there may have been more mall traffic this year, perhaps, than in other years from a brick and mortar point of view, vis-a-vis Target, which would be more in a strip mall or an off-mall location.
And the Apple stores are the one stores in the malls that are always crowded.
This is true. Well, mostly with Apple employees, of course, but yes.
But to their credit, because you get served there.
Absolutely.
You don't have to look around some other companies that I will not name.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you could almost describe an A mall in America as one that has an Apple and a Sephora, and a B mall has one or the other, and a C mall doesn't have either. So yes.
Greg, as we look at what's still to come, Walmart doesn't typically give us a holiday sales number, but they do, of course, report their earnings, so we'll find out at least a little bit there. And we often try to look into the details of Target to perhaps give us some clues about Walmart and vice versa. So are you concerned about what might have happened with electronics, with toys, even with home at Walmart? And what does that ultimately mean for the holiday quarter?
Well, so the overall number of 4% was pretty much spot in line with our expectations. I think what will be really interesting, even before Walmart reports, will be Amazon in less than 2 weeks. So when they went to next day shipping, we think consumers got used to that and found that it actually worked. And what you may have had was sort of a drawback in some of the BOPUS surge that we've seen at traditional retailers this year, that in that very compressed holiday period where people are short of time, I think they clicked on Amazon and said, I want it next day, and they got it. And so what you might be seeing is some share shifts with e-commerce re-accelerating because of Amazon. So that's going to be really interesting to see what they say. I mean, they're up to around 7% of U.S. retail sales now, second only to Walmart.
That is an interesting point in BOPUS. Just for those that don't know, it's the Buy Online, Pick Up in Store acronym that we use. But Greg, to pick up on your point about the holiday season in this compressed time, I think many of us were wondering what that actually would ultimately do to results and to sales. I'm not sure what it did. I mean, do you think that that gave less opportunity for impulse buys? I mean, could the season had been stronger? Or do you think it doesn't really matter what the calendar is because you're going to buy what you're going to buy in the time that you have before Christmas?
Look, we have found over time, we think the shorter season may have hurt 50 basis points. But at the end of the day, jobs are progressing in the right way. Income growth is there. The wealth effect was supportive. So it was a good holiday. If we had had the 6 more days, it might have been 4.5%, not 4%. That's sort of the way we look at it.
Let's talk a little bit about Black Friday.
Okay.
Is it what it used to be?
We don't think so, and we've been watching a decline in the importance of Black Friday as a retail holiday for 2 reasons. One of which is that people are just spending less, and 2, when you look at the patterns of holiday shopping behavior, a lot of the assumption of Black Friday was that if we win them now, we're going to keep them through the holiday season. And what seems to happen to most shoppers is they don't really do that. They shop on Black Friday and then they go back to the stores the week before Christmas, and you do see that spike.
I would guess that the weekend before Christmas, when the desperation sets in, as it does for me, that's when I go and shop.
Well, it's also a chance for the retailers to make more money, right? Because you're desperate. So
I'm desperate.
Yeah,
I'll pay anything.
So and if you think about it, I don't have to give everything away at that point because I've got a little bit more leverage over the shopper. Yeah. Those sales might actually end up, if you looked at it, be markedly more profitable than the sales on Black Friday would.
Greg, as we look forward to some of these retailers reporting, and again, knowing we don't have full information, how do you think that ultimately inventories shaped up as we looked at that potential promotions and now we at least know some of the sales? Good shape going into 2020?
It's a great question, and I think the 4% number should be good enough that inventories are generally clean. Obviously, there will be different categories and retailers where that won't be the case, but I would say that was a strong enough number for the consumer that we don't think there's some massive margin overhang for retail in 2020. I think the one thing that we haven't mentioned is worth noting. Remember, holiday is all about apparel, toys, electronics, but home improvement in the numbers that came out today from the Census Bureau did have its best month, up 2%. Since March of last year. And so we still think our top name for this year is Home Depot, where we think an home improvement market, they are very well positioned for that. And so we're looking for that as our top name this year.